right, so what theater you want to go to tonight? We got 61st and 3rd or 84th and Broadway.
Which one you want to go to, Schmoopy?
You call me Schmoopy. You're Schmoopy.
You're Schmoopy.
You're Schmoopy.
Hi, Schmoopy.
Hi, Schmoopy.
Happy Valentine's Day, Mike.
Same to you, sexy. God. Is Valentine's Day a big deal for you and your wife?
No, we've always kind of been anti-Valentine's Day. We'll do something around Valentine's Day, but we don't go try to get her name on a waiting list to be on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, we are so that way too. Like
Yeah.
it's a day.
It's a day.
Julie would say it's Valentine's Day every day at this house, but
yeah,
I don't know.
It's not a cop out though. It's really not. I will say though, I do try to have my two boys, the two older boys, do something for their 4 younger sisters, even if it's just like a box of candy. Just getting in the habit of taking care of their women, which is
there you go.
Fun.
Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
Yeah. Super Bowl weekend.
How'd that go? Did you have a good time watching it?
I did. I watched the whole thing, obviously. Because it's the only time I love watching commercials too, like most people. Yeah. And it was a very good game. There were some in the game itself was, I thought Stafford was going to, throw himself out of the game by throwing interceptions. And then he ended up, that last drive was just phenomenal. And he and Cooper Kupp, I've never so deserving of the MVP, and I thought they weren't going to give it to him.
Yeah,
I thought they'd give it to Stafford because he's the quarterback. But man, Cooper Kupp, that happened.
He was a stud, and I don't know if you noticed this, but like when he got hit and they flagged the personal foul, he looked like he was out of it.
Yeah,
he kind of stumbled up, and even I'm surprised they even went back to him, but that's all they had. But like after they won and he was walking around, you can kind of see him aimlessly walking around. I'm like, he's not going to remember the Super Bowl celebration.
Yeah, his post-game interview was very, I don't know. I felt like he was a little slow in his, like I was like, man, is he okay?
Yeah.
But it was a good game. I wouldn't call it phenomenal. I think we both picked the Rams to win.
Yeah.
OBJ got knocked out. I thought, man, this is an opportunity for the Bengals, and it looked like it, but they just couldn't capitalize. I mean, I think it was 7 sacks of Burrow.
Tied the record.
And what's that?
I think it tied the record.
It did. Tied the record for most sacks.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good game. It was fun.
It was fun.
I know you like the commercials a lot too, but finish your thought about the Super Bowl, and then I'll ask you about the commercials.
No, I was just going to say in kind of relation to the card world, I posted something on Twitter right before halftime, just talking about how, the card world, the hobby went crazy the last 2 weeks in excitement for Burrow, right? Shot prices up. You couldn't keep a Burrow in stock, forgetting that there's little Matthew Stafford over here who's on the verge already of Hall of Fame and now is checking a box of potentially winning a Super Bowl, who did not get that much hobby love this week. It's always interesting how the hobby works. They gravitate towards the young and the upcoming and forget about some veterans doing their thing.
Yeah, I think Stafford now is a likely Hall of Famer with that victory and just showing what he did. Like, okay, get me on a good team, and instead of the Lions. Right?
I saw an interesting stat about Stafford that I didn't know. Since 2009, when he was drafted, he's had the most comeback victories. He's led the most comeback drives in the NFL. 13 years. You would think with Brady and Rodgers in their prime. Nope, it's been Stafford. And some of that's because Detroit's always been down. They were down every game.
He had no choice, but every win was a comeback win. They were probably behind in every single one of them.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's funny.
Doubt. But anyway.
Interesting. So the commercials, which is, again, interesting to see kind of what I saw a lot of crypto stuff for commercials. I actually, when that Coinbase one with the QR code was going across, I ran up to the television to see what it was, Yeah. And Coinbase, interesting to see a lot of crypto stuff.
Yeah. What was your favorite? What was your favorite commercial?
Favorite commercial was that I can't remember what it was, but the kids that were in the house playing video games, and then all the NFL players came out, and they were animated, and it was awesome. Deion Sanders and Peyton Manning and Derrick Henry, you know, all the new guys, and you know, Jackson throwing a pass. I mean, it was just fantastic.
Walter Payton coming in at the end.
Yes, and then breaking up all the house, and then grandma almost choking on the football, and at the very end, the parents come home and like, what happened? And the grandma comes in, football, and I'm like, yeah, it was fantastic.
That was a great commercial. I think it was actually just an NFL commercial.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't think it was supporting any particular
You're right.
brand.
The NFL shield was at the very end of it.
Yeah.
That was so good. What was your favorite?
So I think the most impactful commercial, the one that, and I think social media was going crazy over it, was that Coinbase commercial. I think it was just like, I was intrigued for 30 seconds to see what the heck was going to happen here. And the whole time I'm thinking, okay, do I go scan that with my phone or do I not? Incredibly clever. But I think the one that we liked the most as a family was probably the Doritos one, with all the animals kind of making the sounds and kind of end up singing a song. And it was
sloth. The sloth eat the fiery Doritos or whatever, and then run back up to the up into the tree. Yeah, that was a good one. That was good.
I actually really enjoyed the commercials this year. There were some pretty clever ones overall.
Definitely. And it's fun to see what Madison Avenue comes up with for Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, I don't even know what the 30-second spot costs, but as that Coinbase commercial's happening, I'm thinking, wow, they spent a lot of money to do this.
Crazy.
They probably spent a couple $1,000s to develop that commercial.
Yeah, how hard was it? Hey, let's just do it. No, I bet they spent millions to develop it, which is the more dumb thing. Oh, and we just came up with a QR code, you know?
Yeah. Good stuff.
What are we going to talk about today?
Well, let's talk a couple hobby pieces here that I think I want to bring up to you. Let's start with this one here. Pele, first $1 million soccer card. It's Pele, so it's obvious. It makes sense. There's been a lot of buzz. Do you own one of these? I'm assuming you don't own like a low grade one of these.
Oh, I have three in 10s. So I
got it. Okay.
No, I don't own that card.
Okay. 1958
cool card,
Alpha Bolligate.
Sure.
Okay.
I need to put on my readers here so I can see.
And it's a mini card too, right? So it's like, it looks awful in that slab. That one will look really good in the SGC slab.
They're so bad at framing the card right.
Yeah.
It's like they just go, man, what do we got extras of? Let's do that one. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Lazy.
Yeah. It was sold on the fractional share platform Rally. It's not only a record price for Pele, but it's also the first $1 million soccer card. And this is one of only 5 graded PSA 9. There's no PSA 10s. So that quite interesting. There's been a lot of talk recently about just the transition of money into the soccer world heading into the World Cup. And I'd love to know your perspective as a non-soccer collector, because I have my perspective too. Do you think soccer is an opportunity for hobbyists to kind of go back and grab vintage cards, maybe grab some modern cards? Do you think there's enough interest, knowing what you know, flowing into the soccer world?
Well, the World Cup always increases interest, and inevitably that ends up being very short-lived.
Yep.
And dies on the vine less than a month after the World Cup is over, because the U.S. never wins. I think if the U.S. won, it would be a bigger deal here. And women's soccer, we've been really good in women's soccer for a long time, winning Olympic medals and World Cups and stuff. But that's just not going to have the same traction in the hobby world that men's sports do, because there's more men that collect cards. It's just that simple, really.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from the women's soccer. I mean, Alex Morgan's awesome. Mia Hamm, just thinking of Rapinoe, all these great women's soccer players. They're fantastic soccer players. But in terms of hobby, it's going to be like always with World Cup. You get a little inflation from that, and then back to real life, which nobody
Yeah.
cares about soccer anymore. Having $1 million card, I don't think changes that either.
Right.
Why? I mean, it's one card. It's not.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, look, Gretzky sold for millions of dollars many times. It doesn't mean like hockey cards all of a sudden relevant. You know, that doesn't
Right.
really mean much.
Yeah.
But he is the greatest player of all time. So I'm actually surprised there has not been $1 million Pele. So that was more surprising to me than anything.
Yeah, it's cool though. I mean, good for whoever owned the card.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of with you too. Like you obviously you're going to see that bubble form. And I almost think like last year when everyone got really interested in soccer cards and all the talking heads were saying, hey, you got to go buy soccer cards. That was probably the little rise that you were going to get out of soccer cards. And the problem I've always thought with soccer cards is that for it to really increase in value, two things have to happen. One, you have to get people that aren't interested in soccer cards that normally spend money on basketball, baseball, football to spend money on soccer cards, which for a guy like me would mean a shift in my, like a total shift in what I watch and focus on. And I have zero desire to do that. Zero desire.
Yeah.
Second, you have to get money out of countries that, relatively speaking, are historically poor. Like the countries that win soccer in the World Cup, like Brazil and Argentina. I've never shipped a card there on eBay, like sold a card there to someone. I don't think all of a sudden one day it's going to be like, there's this crazy demand from buyers in Brazil and Argentina.
Right.
Like that whole philosophy, it just never made sense to me. Maybe the European market a little bit. Okay, I get that. But this world's like all of a sudden desire to go buy soccer cards, I don't think that's just all of a sudden going to happen. What are your thoughts?
Totally agree. You got to like soccer to want to collect soccer cards, and that market is just not very big here in the US yet. It's just not. There's a lot of people that are crazy about soccer and love watching, Premier League and Champions League and all these different matches and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is a lot of people are like me and you. I'm going to watch some World Cup games. I'm going to watch the US. And, that's it. That's the extent of my soccer consumption. After that, I won't care anymore.
Yeah.
It's like the Olympics. I'm watching a lot of the Olympics. I couldn't tell you any of these people's names. I have no desire to go get cards of them, snowboarders and figure skaters and hockey players and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And when it's done, I'll be like, that was cool. And that'll be it. I'm not going to remember their name. It's just not a huge deal. It's cool in the moment.
For sure.
And not cool all the rest of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to know people that are watching. I'd love to know your kind of take on the rise of the soccer market, the flattening of the soccer market, and why you think the soccer card market has any sort of leverage over the rest of the card markets, the rest of the sports. Like genuinely, I'd love to know that from folks. But I think we're on the same page. You and I aren't rushing out to buy soccer cards because the World Cup's heading here, or that's coming up. It doesn't influence me at all.
Zero.
Yeah.
In fact, I hope other people are distracted so that they won't be buying cards that I actually want to buy. So yeah, go buy your soccer cards.
You and your selfish motives.
Right?
Gosh. Speaking of selfish motives, I know something you would probably do now that you have this idea, and that is wallpaper your wall with cards, junk wax era cards. You sent me this link earlier of this Boise home. As they were renovating the home, they found this wall full of cards. I'll put the link in the show notes, but what did you think when you saw this?
It popped up on my YouTube recommended list, ironically.
Yeah.
And it's apparently a news story. You can take down. Yeah. A news story from a few weeks ago. And you had said you read an article about it about a month ago, that this couple that was remodeling a home found this wall of cards. And I watched and saw they slowly panned over the card wall, and it's all these, junk wax era cards. And I'm thinking, Ty, this is a great idea. I mean, you just moved into a new house reasonably recently. You could take all your Zion Williamson rookie cards, slabs, and do a slab wall, or all your Gavin Luxes and Luis Roberts and all the stuff they're going to have 1 bajillion of. Just make a slab wall. I think that would look so cool. You guys tell me down below if he should make a slab wall for one of his kids, because he's going to have so many worthless slabs. What do you think?
I love this idea going around that I have a bunch of worthless slabs, as if I made some awful decision and graded a bunch of worthless cards. You don't know me. You know me better than that. Come on.
You can go. What I'm saying is, you can go buy all these slabs for super cheap.
That's a good point. You can go snag all the Gavin Luxes and Kyle Lewises you want.
I bet if you bought the slabs, it would cost less maybe than the paint or the wallpaper you might put up on the wall.
That's very true. What about like a floor with like a glass over the top? You know how some people put like, running water beneath the glass floor with, the PSA slabs beneath it. You're always walking on top of faces.
That would actually be badass. Are you kidding?
That'd be really cool.
You can make that. Ooh, we could start a disco with the dance floor is all slabs under glass. And you get out there and we can have them hanging from the ceiling and lights flickering on them and stuff.
Have a couple guys spinning on their cards, just constant. I like it. I like that a lot.
Man, the slab floor thing's kind of,
that'd be really
fun.
Somebody's
going to do that. Somebody's going to do that.
Yeah. If I had, a lot of disposable income, it's something I would totally try in like a, man cave or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We're on to something there.
All right. Wow. Okay.
Not the direction we plan on going down. Okay. So let me ask you a serious question. It's something you and I have been texting about.
Serious question.
There's this idea. I think Jeff Wilson put out a video, Sports Card Investor, just about this. I think he felt kind of vilified and all this stuff because of all the bad news going around the hobby. Do you think there's villains in the hobby? And the parlay question off that is, are villains necessary in the hobby? It's a deep question. You haven't had a lot of time to prepare for this, but
they're definitely necessary in Marvel's movies. You got to have a villain. Spider-Man always has to have somebody. Fortunately, I think that people want to vilify. Let me step back and re-explain this. When the card market's doing what it's doing, where it peaks and then comes off of that peak, and I don't want to use the word crash or corrects or whatever. When it comes back down to earth, people want to find someone to blame. They call us prophets. There it is, prophets of doom.
I knew it was coming.
They call us the prophet. And when you're just stating facts and reality, that doesn't need vilifying. I mean, there are people that thumbs down every video we do, no matter how positive we are or whatever. We could, I could do a video announcing that I cured cancer and I would still get thumbs down on it. So I think there's just people that are just negative in general, and they want to blame someone for their mistake / bad investment / circumstance that has nothing to do with any one person. It's just normal. This is just normal. So no, I don't. I think, but now I do think there are 0.0001 of people out there that I would call a villain in the hobby. They're people that are trimming cards, actively trying to trim cards, dupe people, be crooked about things. To me, those are the villains of the hobby, largely faceless, nameless people that are doing this behind the scenes, and we don't know who they are because some people get caught. But imagine the reaction. Think back to the reaction at the Dallas Card Show when that guy got busted, and how many people were like yelling, like you should die. I mean, like crazy extreme stuff. Yep. And I think it turned out he wasn't even selling fake cards or something. Yep. People are jumping to conclusions, but certainly people that are trying to manipulate other people by trimming or selling fake cards. That's no bueno.
Those are crooks. right? I mean, that's borderline illegal activity. I think, when we were talking about villains and texting back and forth, I think it's important to like clarify what a villain is. By definition, a villain is the opposite of a hero, right? It's at odds with a hero. And I think to your point, like, I think we raise people up on a pedestal when they serve us. And when they don't, we push them down here and we think they're hero. We think they're villain. And it's just like, it's self-serving for ourselves. And I mean, the rubber meets the road when you put out a video about a hero and you put out a video about a villain. All you got to do is look at, Ryan Breakout Cards, who does a great job with his videos. Don't get me wrong. He's awesome, but he does a Dallas Card Show villain video. And it's like, he gets 100,000 views. It's like people want a villain because it makes them feel better about the decisions and things that they've made, that have been bad, that have financially hurt themselves.
Yeah.
So I think the hobby wants a villain deep down because it makes them feel better about themselves. That's my answer to that question.
Jeff Wilson was on Sports Card Nation podcast last Friday.
Okay.
And John Newman asked him about, do you feel like you get kind of vilified in the hobby? And then Jeff had his own video talking about all the negative news and how he feels about it. And the reality is, when Jeff Wilson first came out, we talked about it. I mean, I was very against what he stood for. At least I should say what I thought he stood for. And which was the flippers and that whole thing.
Yeah.
That really bothered me a lot. And then I met Jeff Wilson.
Yep.
And I've met him several times, spent time with him. Couldn't be a nicer guy. The reality is, I wanted to not like him. I wanted to dislike him. And I came out of meeting him with an open mind going, he's a great guy. He's a good guy. And he talked about in that podcast about doing some different things so that he can make himself less vulnerable to attack, so to speak, and being vilified. So he recognizes that. I mean, I've had times where people thought I was a villain in the hobby and on YouTube and to the community and all that kind of stuff. And I want nothing but the best for the community. And it was always from people that didn't know me, that would watch a video, take it out of context, or make assumptions about it, jump to conclusions. And then they have this idea in their mind. And I think a lot of people did that with Jeff.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other YouTube people we could talk about that have probably been through that. And Jeff is a really nice guy. Like, I wanted to not like him, and I ended up liking him a lot, actually.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You feel the same way, I think? Yes.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I feel that way about a lot of people in the hobby, right? Jeff is one of those guys, right? He is a genuinely good guy. Yes, he has done things that have been kind of anti-normal hobby, which unfortunately in our culture is what we typically vilify. It's like, it's not what I normally believe. You don't want to do what I think, so therefore you're a villain. And like, that's probably at the core what's wrong with a lot of what's going on in the world, and it's happening exponentially in the hobby right now too. And it's a shame. Unfortunately, we as a hobbyist, we as people think being good and doing the right thing is just too boring. So we have to find a way to vilify something.
Yeah, what you said is so true. You can think one way about a lot of it, social issues, political, whatever. We're not going to get into that, but I'm just saying it manifests itself in a lot of ways in our life, including me in the hobby with Jeff Wilson. Then I met him, actually spent some time getting to know him, and my opinion changed through personal experience, not through anything else. And we, unfortunately, jump to a conclusion about pick your topic, and immediately, if you had an open mind and you just sat, believe me, if you think I'm a villain, come have a beer with me, man. In 30 minutes, I bet you won't think that anymore. Nobody thinks Ty's a villain, but that's okay. So just don't. But then people would say, oh, well, you are what you are. If you say it, then that means that's who you are, and this and that. And there's so much more to it. You're seeing a sliver. We've said this before. You're seeing a sliver.
Yeah. I think it's just my message to folks is to stop vilifying things because you disagree with it and realize, like, there's probably an opportunity for you to expand the way you think about things. And when you do that, it's only a good thing for you. Like it's a really positive thing for you when you expand your horizons and realize, okay, this guy, not a bad dude. He maybe disagrees and does things that I don't agree with, but there's probably a reason for that. Maybe I should figure that out. And you're going to be surprised. It actually will probably help you more than it does anything.
Yeah, and it still doesn't mean that I agree with everything that Jeff Wilson represents in the hobby.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he's not a good guy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean I never go on videos and never have, just totally trashed him and what he does and what he stands for. And it's like, hey, you do you, man. Do your thing. I'm going to try to understand it and get to know you. And came out of that still, again, disagreeing with some things, but that's okay. You and I disagree on things.
Yeah. We do.
So
probably more so than we agree on things, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, I think so.
That's okay. It makes for a good show.
That's why I have this picture of you in my room that I throw darts at every day.
Hit me right in between the eyes.
Well, it's full body. I aim kind of midsection.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's tiny down there to kind
of. You better have a big bedroom for the lower half of my full body.
It's ceiling. I do ceiling now. It's just my wife thinks it's kind of weird, but I tell her it motivates me.
That's beyond weird, but what else do we have to talk about? Agree.
Anyway, no, man, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to follow that up.
I do agree with your premise, though, of not, be more objective or be more open-minded. Don't just vilify someone or just cause. Try to learn something.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just tired of people being so surface level and not taking it, a couple layers deep and figuring out, okay, why does someone think this way? Why do they collect this way? Why do they buy and sell this way? Why are they interested in NFTs? If you ask those questions, you actually begin to expand your own horizons a little bit, which is it's a good thing for all of us guys.
For sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I think villains do exist in the hobby, but mainly because we create them in our mind, not because they actually exist.
Right. Great point.
Man, that was deep.
I know. I'm trying to think where we go from here.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it for today.
Let's real quickly.
Okay.
Series 1 hit the market this week.
Yeah.
Wander. I mean, I can't really think of a release where there's been this one guy you're so excited about in Series 1 this year.
Wasn't it that way with Judge back in 2017?
Yeah, but for me, it wasn't. It was kind of like he was the unknown and he was a big hitter. I feel like Wander's like the do-it-all 5-tool. He's almost like the Mike Trout to the 2020s. And I feel like everyone and their grandma is thinking, okay, how do I get my hands on Wander Franco rookies?
Yeah.
I mean, Topps is going to milk this thing to no end. I don't even want to think about all the Wander stuff we're going to be seeing.
I think he has 36 cards in Series 1, not including parallels. That's what I heard. I
haven't counted. I haven't even looked, but that sounds probably right.
Has there been Top Series 1 in the wild yet? Seen in the wild yet?
I don't think so. I think the release party is tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow.
Yeah, and it comes out Wednesday, supposedly.
Yep.
I will probably pick up a blaster just to have.
Well, you'll find it, I think.
Oh my
I think
gosh,
you'll find it.
It is going to be Noah-esque in terms of epic flood of product for 2022 Topps. There's going to be so much of it. You could paper your walls with it, and no problem.
Do you think Wander Franco becomes the most printed rookie of all time?
I think he'll become the most slabbed rookie of all time.
Now that's interesting, kind of considering where we are with cost.
For now. Where we are with cost for now.
I don't know, man. So I bet you, I'm going to say by the end of the season, the pop count for his top Series 1 rookie is below 10,000.
That makes sense. I mean, how many?
Well, like perspective,
compares-
right? You're looking at
Yeah.
20 to 25,000 for like an Ronald Acuna or a Juan Soto. It may even be
Yeah.
lower than that, honestly. I mean, you think about it, it's $50 to slap a card right now. That's what you're
I
gonna
bet
pay.
there will be. I'll make this prediction: there'll be more Wander Franco slabbed by SGC and CSG than there are at PSA.
Ooh. Now that's an is Wander Franco the card that brings SGC and CGC into the modern discussion again?
Well, CSG is already doing more modern than any. They don't hardly do any vintage at
Yeah,
all.
that's fair.
If you look at their Jim Rate, just came out with some pop reports for them, and Dustin covered it on Personal Finance Dad. They have a very low gem rate at CSG, and they're doing almost the number one set they've done was 2021 Topps Baseball. So that's all they're going to be doing. So I think if you added up CSG and SGC and maybe just SGC, they will have a higher population of Wander Franco rookie, just base Topps rookies than PSA by the end of the season. If we even have a season, by the way.
Well, there you go. Yeah, yeah, another wild card, right? Talk about dumping water on a fire.
Jeez, gasoline on it.
Well, no, the opposite, right? Putting out this hot, flaming fire of Wander Franco, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it feels like Major League Baseball is throwing gasoline on their fire, which is like, good freaking grief, guys.
Yeah.
And apparently, as we sit here talking on Valentine's Day 2022, they're not even close. And they're supposed to start spring training in 12 days. So, yeah. Let's see how that works out.
I know Manfred watches this show. Manfred, figure it out. For the sake of the hobby, figure it out.
Please, Rob.
Yeah.
I'll do an open letter to Rob Manfred video.
I like that.
That's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
No one will watch it.
We should do one like a collaborative video with all the YouTube creators. All of us have like 10 seconds and we just make it like 10 minutes, 200 YouTube creators in the hobby.
All pleading with Major League Baseball to get their act together. And
We'll boycott and we'll not put out videos unless, well, I know you still will put out videos.
But do you think I'm right about SGC having more Wander rookie graded than PSA?
I think it's a very interesting thought. Like, I really do think that's what SGC needs. The one area they're lacking is like the visibility on their modern cards and like getting prices up to somewhat, PSA 9 levels because they're so far off in the modern side. Maybe that's the culprit for them. Maybe that gives them the kick they needed. This is going to generate more awareness. Oh, you can't get a PSA. There's an SGC slab.
And the other thing is the SGC slabs are going to hit the market as soon as, they're going to be sent off. They're going to be, come back within a month. How long will it take PSA slabs to come back? Unless you pay stupid money, way overpaying to get it graded for a Wander Franco rookie, which again, why would you do that? But they come back. They're going to be the first ones on market, graded Wander Franco base Topps rookies. They're going to have an edge from the very beginning.
There you go.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, what do you got coming out this week?
I'm doing a solo episode of Golden Age of Cardboard. I teased it last week and invited people to send me questions about whatever. And I was going to do a Q&A episode, and I got a lot of great questions. So I'm just going to be going through those and answering them. And then I'm working on and should have within the next few weeks. I don't know exactly when. We haven't pinpointed a day, but Chris Sewell, baseball collector, investor, dealer, is going to be on Golden Age of Cardboard. He is incredibly big in the hobby, and rightfully so.
That's great.
I love his stuff. I love his perspective on the hobby. I love how he thinks about it. And he's got all angles covered: dealer, investor, collector, right? But they're in a particular order: collector, investor, dealer. So I'm excited to talk to. I've never talked to Chris before, and so being able to, we're emailing back and forth, and he lives across the pond, so I have to figure out when to get him on, but he's agreed to be on the show, so I'm excited about that too. So that
Cool.
look for that in the near future.
What about Baseball Collector? What do you got coming? Anything?
Not a lot. I'm trying to figure out some showcases to do, because that's just always fun to pull stuff out and put them out on the table and just look at all the cards together for a certain player or a certain year and stuff. So I've got some ideas for that. I don't have cards coming in. I got another trade that I did, so that might show that off. But Baseball Collector is going to be a little bit dormant of content for a little while. Not void of content, just a lot less. But I'm going to see you, so I'll have some more content I'm going to do with that.
Yeah, you
in
are.
a few
You are
months.
coming up
So
to the great Northwest.
going to a show with you, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
And what about you? What are you doing this week?
Yeah, so I have a couple interviews coming up. I have one with Ivan, Watch the Breaks, Go GTS. I have a very popular second interview scheduled for the end of the month. One of our friends.
Can I guess?
Yes.
It's got to be Nolan.
Yeah. He's back. He's back into the month. We're doing a
So-
follow-up.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
People loved it too.
Yeah. And then
It
on
was funny
Vertical
it was funny how people said on that video, the comments as I was reading them. And guys, we read all the comments. We try to respond.
Yeah.
If you get a response from Baseball Collector, it's me. If you get a response from Breaker Culture, it's Ty. If you get a response from Bench Clear Media, it's one or the other of us. It's we can do it anyway, and so we try to respond to all of them. But the comments were great on Nolan's video because they mentioned how they got to see a different side of Nolan.
Yeah.
And I know Nolan, so I know that side of him already. And that's part of it, I think, too, even with the vilifying. Like, once you know a person, it totally changes your perspective on watching their content. And, Nolan will do a regular reveal video, and I know what he's thinking. Like, I know it. He's just back there going, and now he gets to express that in an interview. It just changes, I think, how people view him, which is cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
What about Breaker Culture you were going to say?
Yeah, I've been doing content on helping people start up their eBay shops and how I've been selling tens of thousands of cards on eBay the last couple of years, showing my tips and tricks. And that's been surprisingly well received. So it's been fun to do stuff like that, which is stuff I've wanted to talk about for a long time, but just didn't have the time to do it. So now I'm doing it, which is it's been fun.
Nice.
Little pet project of mine. So
fun.
Yeah, man.
Well, thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you for commenting, subscribing, disliking it because of Mike.
It's all good. I don't care.
Have a good week.
All right, man. You too. See ya.